All right, gang. For your clay part of your container, when we did our designs on Friday, if you remember, we looked at doing our design and making it three-dimensional by turning it into paper. Do you guys remember that? Yeah. And we had you guys tape it up so it became your container. So you could basically have a mock-up of your actual clay piece out of paper. And the reason why we did that was because we're going to use every one of these pieces for your clay. So what I want you to do today or tomorrow when you start your clay is you will start to disassemble this in a way that all of your pieces are still intact. Okay? And then I want you to label your pieces like front, back, side 1, 2, 3, B1, B2, B3, B4, B5. So you know what piece they are, right? Follow me? Okay. Once you have everything labeled, then you can start to take your piece apart. Just be careful, because your tape did the job that it needed to do. It helped you assemble your paper piece. But you're going to want to take some time and tear your design back apart. Okay? But now the difference is it's labeled and it's ready to go. All right? So once you have it tore apart, then you're ready to start to get your supplies for clay. And so in your notes you'll see supplies. So the number one supply is the obvious one, and that's going to be your design. Okay? Make sure you have your design or your model. Okay, so you want to write that down, your model. Number two, you need to have something to work on, paper to work on. That's what I'm using up here, some paper to work on. Okay, so 2 is paper to work on. 3, a rolling pin. Okay, a rolling pin. 4, a plastic bag. Okay, a plastic bag to put your clay in when we're done. Every day you'll need a plastic bag. 5, you're going to need a piece of tape with your name and period on it. And you'll rip it off and you'll hang it at the edge of your table. Okay? And are we on 6, last one? Okay. 6, best friend. We're going to show you guys tomorrow how to make a best friend. Same best friend. New name. Okay? So once you have all your supplies and you're ready to come see me, I'll have a table set up over in the back. We'll be using the other art room, our clay room. And you will get a hunk of clay. Now, when you get your clay, I want you to show me your main wall, your main piece, that tells how big or tall or wide your piece is. That way I can tell how big of a piece of clay to cut for you. And so I'll cut me a hunk of clay. Now luckily for us, our clay is already pre-wedged. And pre-wedged means that all the clay has been through a pugger, and a pugger is a thing that helps mix the clay, but it also goes through a vacuum that sucks all the air bubbles out of it. So if it comes right off the block like this, you don't need to wedge it. If you're cutting it and redoing it, then you need to wedge it, because you're going to get air in it by working with it. But as it comes off the block, you don't need to. And then you're going to roll your clay out. Okay? So in rolling your clay out, you need to make sure, number one, you are standing up. Okay? You are standing up when you're doing this. You don't have enough leverage if you're sitting down. You're going to start in the middle of your hunk. Okay? Start in the middle of your hunk. You're going to put a little indentation in your clay. And it's almost like a wave of clay. Okay, almost like a half pipe for a skater. And that's where your pressure is going to be the greatest, is right here in the center. Then as you go out, you're going to let up on the pressure. And you never, ever, ever roll off your clay. You always stay on your clay. So I didn't roll off my clay onto the table. I kept my rolling pin up and stopped before I got to the edge. Okay? Then turn and roll. Turn and roll. And you're going to want to roll out in all directions. Okay. And how thin do you roll it out? Well, a little bit thinner than your pinky finger. Just like when we did last year when we did our clay plates. It should be a little bit thinner than your pinky finger. We don't want it too thin though, because we're going to rely on some of this stuff as walls, and we want them to be able to stand up on their own. So we're going to have to really make sure that we don't get things too thin. I know some of us last year when we rolled out, we had our middle was thick, but our edges were really thin. We just have to work at that a little bit. Okay? So you roll it out. You want to definitely roll it out to where it fits your design. Okay? So rolling out is a key part. You want to make sure that the slab is flat. Okay? Make sure that slab is 100% flat.